video games are for nerds. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about them. That's why you're listening to The Week in Gaming, the only gaming podcast that breaks down the last 7 days and tears games apart from the inside. Ugh. So forget your worries, open your ears, and join Simon Miller and a co-host for the entertainment chatter you need. Also, screw Dark Souls.
Hello and welcome to The Week in Gaming. My name is Simon Miller and this is a podcast about games in case you're interested. Before we do get into it, I do want to apologise for the lateness of this episode. Usually we go up every Monday, but it's my fault. My week went absolutely crazy and then we're late today because I made the silly mistake of upgrading my OS on my Mac and that balked my whole recording software. So everything has fallen apart a little bit. But it doesn't matter because it's a huge week for video games, so we weren't going to miss it. As always, I'm joined by my man Sam. Sam, how you doing today?
Yeah, doing good. I haven't upgraded my OS, so I'm all right.
Yeah, no one upgrade it. If you have certain tools and applications you use, I would say wait until everybody's got updates for them, and it slowed my Mac right down. Anyway, as always, this is supported by patreon.com/Simon316, so thank you to everybody who has put $1 in there and makes all this stuff possible. And we're here, Sam, as we talk about video games on this Thursday. Red Dead Redemption 2 is but 24, less than 12 hours or whatever from being released. All the reviews have gone up. Everybody's going crazy about it, as you'd expect. There's 10s, there's 9s. A lot of talk about horse bollocks. We're not going to get into that here. You can go read about that. I mean, I'm obviously already sold on it, because as we've talked about on this very show, I'm a Red Dead guy. Has anything you've seen, I mean, not sparked your interest? Because I think it's one of those games where you're going to get sucked in quite quickly regardless because it's Red Dead Redemption. And I think when you're just a video game fan, when games blow up like this, you're like, well, I should play it at some point. But given that we're now in sort of like the eye of the storm, do you have any sort of, are you excited to play it? Not excited to play it? Not that, you know what I mean, though. Do you feel like now you have to play it tomorrow or anything like that?
I guess it's just like everyone is expecting these scores, so it's not like, oh, damn,
That's
I should
true.
really play it now.
That
You know
is
what
true.
I mean? So for me, there's not really a lot of change. And it's just like some of the stuff I've heard have been like, ugh, like cleaning your gun and stuff like that. I'm just like, ugh.
Wait, what? I don't know about that, but that's not part of the... That's a side thing, right? You don't have to clean your gun, right?
Well, I assume if you don't clean your gun, it's going to jam. Because I think that's what they mean by degrading weaponry. I think you have to clean your gun and then it fires and doesn't fire, it gets clogged or whatever.
Man, I don't want to do that.
Exactly, right? I think that's how it works anyway. But yeah, it's much the same as I'd expect. So nothing's changed. I'm still interested, but I'm not like, yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, I look, if you want to hear the review episode, for lack of a better term, we'll do that next week. I'm going to get it tomorrow, and we can play it. I'll play it, and then we'll talk about it. But I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head here. Again, we are going to talk about the hilarious review in a minute. I'm going to read it as we go. I haven't got it up yet because I ran into technical issues, but. I think, I'm trying to think of the way to phrase this. The most interesting thing I've read from a lot of reviews, I won't name any outlets because I don't want to get it wrong or miss somebody out, is the term, this is not a fun video game, has come up a lot. But they are saying that in a complimentary way, in almost the sense that Rockstar has gone to such meticulous levels to make this feel realistic and different and like you're actually existing in a world that you could consider reality, that they've even sat down and gone, well, we shouldn't do that because that wouldn't make, they've almost like they've sacrificed entertainment. This is going to sound so cheesy, but they've sacrificed entertainment in the name of art. But because it's so well put together and it looks so good and the story is so engrossing and, when it is at its best, it's basically better than any other game you've played, that actually adds to the experience rather than takes away. And I think that's what I love most about Rockstar games, is that they do offer experiences these days which nobody else is matching. And I get it's because they have all the money in the world, but it's not the point. They still have talented developers that are making this stuff happen. And it's made me so intrigued to see what I'm actually going to think about it, because there's every chance somebody sits down with Red Dead and goes, well, actually, personally, like we say about Zelda, I know this is a great video game, but maybe it's not necessarily the video game I want to play in 2018.
Yeah, it's weird because I watched Jim Sterling's Impressions, and he said right off the bat that it works best when it's trying to be a video game and not when it's trying to be a cowboy simulator sort of thing. And I could I was obviously not played it, but I could totally see that because like I can imagine with all these systems like gun cleaning and really realistic stuff. For me, that doesn't sound amazing, and I think I'd get very bored of that very quickly. It's obviously like part of the appeal because they try to make this deep immersive world. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's sort of like something that I think people could be turned off by.
I do. And I don't necessarily think that means it's something they should have taken out. Far from it. But I think they are the little touch. It's almost like I feel when Rockstar sat down to make this, they were like, what has to go in? And I think realism was probably the big word at the top. We want it to feel realistic. We want people to feel like they've been transported back into the Wild West in its dying days. And we want these characters to feel like actual humans. So again, they're almost like Kojima in that sense. You get a feeling they'd like to make movies. And they want to make movies within video games. Well, I will say this as well, that I'm not being negative on it at all. I have read the word best open world game time and time again. Or the best open world I've ever been in. And I think when you can have the same reviewer saying that, and you've also got the same people saying this is a hard, difficult, unfun, dirty, grimy game, that gets me really interested because that says to me, and everyone says it's so slow as well. That's the other thing. No one says it's like fast-paced, boom, boom action. Everyone says it's really slow. Again, it's really meticulous. It's really methodical. I'm intrigued because, obviously I play games differently to what I watch movies, but my favourite movies mostly are slow-paced, thought-provoking films. So if you can capture that in a video game, and I'm not sure many other video games have done that, maybe the first Red Dead to a lesser extent, but not really. This one sounds like, to me, while it will obviously have Rockstar traits, I think it will have... Again, I kind of sometimes feel like they use Red Dead as a brief... I'm not being disparaging towards Red Dead, but I think there's an idea, because it's Red Dead and not GTA, we can probably include stuff in it to see if it clicks, and if so, we can then evolve that and work on it for the next GTA game.
Yeah, it's weird that you could have an open world that's slow because everyone gets an open world and just fills it with stuff because that's what people feel like an open world is. But to get an open world that's slow but not bad, that's interesting. I think like you, I'm just sort of like more interested as to how I'll find this and what the experience is actually like when you're in it, because you can write all the reviews in the world, but like you can't really capture what it's like being in there until you sit down with it, because it's like 50 hours minimum or something like that. So yeah.
I read one thing that says the best stuff starts after 60 hours. That scared the shit out of me because I was like, I'm not going to get there. Like, I'm just not, I'll do my best to get through it, but I don't know if I have that much time. But, all the news has come out, all the information that's come out, it has really, I am fascinated to play it. I think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be divisive, so to speak, but I think, again, much like the Zelda thing, I think everybody will love it and is happy that it exists. I don't necessarily think it's going to be like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever played. For some people, I actually think it may win me over because I love cowboys too. And the fact the story's meant to be so good, story is very important to me in 2018, especially to keep me playing. Obviously, gameplay is always the most important thing, but if you've got a good story, I'll kind of let a lot of other stuff slide. And once again, it just sounds like Rockstar sat down and thought about let no hole unturned. No stone unturned, sorry, no holes at all. Let's make sure this all makes sense.
Yeah. It's just weird because obviously it's very highly rated, but like it's 97 on PS4 and
97 out of about 40 reviews, 72 reviews, and it's got 97. Now
would have been 99 without one.
Well, we're going to talk about it in a minute. I just want to say this. And this is just between you and me, Sam. And look, I don't judge. I think everybody should be allowed to say whatever they say. And if you want more information about this, go listen to last week's episode. But I will say, a lot of the same people who were being very critical of Rockstar 7 days ago are now loving them. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to throw that out there. One outlet in particular, I was like, that's interesting, given what you said about a week ago. But that's all I'll say. I'll draw a line under there. I don't want to be controversial. That's not what I'm about. Yeah. Right, you mentioned the review. Everyone go to Metacritic right now. You're all on your phones listening to this. You can go on, you can see all the reviews, you've got to scroll through them, and you'll get to the very bottom. And at the moment, at the very bottom, there's an amazing website called Video Chums, which I'm going to visit as soon as I'm done with this podcast, who gave it 88, which is a random score anyway. And then below that is our Slant Magazine, who gave it a 70. Or, to be specific, I had to look up 3.5 stars, which is different. It is. Now, I haven't... It does, you're right. It does. I haven't been able to go through this yet. I'm going to do it as Sam talks, because Sam, you know the crutch of this review. And and when Sam first told me about it, because I've been waiting for that review all day, I kept refreshing, because I'm an asshole. I kept refreshing to find the one review of some asshole who was going to be like, you know what, I'm just going to shit over this game, because why the hell not? And a 7 is not shitting on it, or a 70 is not shitting over it. But you tell me what their what's the word I'm looking for, point is. And I'm going to go through as you talk, and then I just want to talk about, because there was always going to be one. There's always one. And I love the people that do this, because it's just like a moth to a flame. And the internet will talk about this for the 72 years. But yeah, slantmagazine.com. Pimping them out. Go there right now. Check it out. 3.5 stars out of 5. what's their point, basically?
Well, I skim Reddit, so I didn't go into the nitty-gritty, so I was there for the comments, really. But I think one of their big points was that there's a lot of things explored, like gender inequality, women in the West, and racial inequality and stuff, but that's not really dealt with. It's sort of brushed aside. And I mean, that's a very valid point, I guess. But yeah, it's just, like I said, I was there for the comments, really. Someone called the bait click, which I thought was very funny. There was a lot of, I think for some reason it seems to be the internet is awash with people with the worst English saying the loudest things.
Yep, that sounds about right.
It's just so funny, like just calling someone a bait click and calling them Deplo space rabble journalists. So
I find it amazing that people can get so mad about some random review on the internet about a game they're still enjoying. Like,
and I guarantee 98% of that comment section haven't read that review. They saw the score and they were just immediately in the comment section.
Oh yeah, and going back to what you said about touching on racial and sexist issues or gender issues, like I don't. Given that and this is just my opinion, I could be completely wrong. Given that Red Dead Redemption 2 hasn't set itself out to tackle those issues properly, but still wants to include them again in this real world they're trying to create, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think it's better than not talking about it entirely, and maybe it's up to the player to make their own decisions about what that means. I certainly don't think that doesn't sound like a negative to me. Do you remember when Bioshock Infinite came out? A lot of people said the same stuff. Like they touched on these issues but didn't go all the way. I was like, well, I certainly think it's a point of critique, and I think it's a discussion we should certainly have. But I don't think it makes the game worse. I think if you tried to do it and you actually offended some people, then yes, it would make the game worse. But I don't think Bioshock Infinite did that. And again, I'm happy to be corrected. And I don't think that, given how Rockstar balanced their games, look at GTA and stuff like that, I can't see them getting that wrong, or at least not getting it how they intended. They're very, very astute with that stuff.
No, I mean, it seems like if you've got what it sounds like 50 positives and a handful of negatives, I'm not sure how that translates to a 7. But obviously, opinions, and I haven't read the full review, really. But either way, the comment section is worth the review. So
I'm going to go through it. I'll probably make a video about it. The other big thing is that they seem to be... They don't like Rockstar's, quote, bullish commitment to a clunky control scheme.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yes.
I mean, I think it's okay. I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2, but if it plays the same as Red Dead 1... I'm all right with it.
I think they've sort of insinuated that they've always had a bad control scheme and they're sticking with it. And it's like, I don't remember a Rockstar game having a bad control scheme.
No, I don't think it... No, there's nothing wrong if you don't like it. That's absolutely fine, but that's a pride. That's the one thing that's, that's stuck out the most. I've just noticed this thing about a ham-fisted grasp of politics. I struggle with that a little bit when it comes to video games, because video games, by and large, don't touch on it at all. So I think one actually is happy to make that risk. Again, you may fall flat a little bit, but at least they're trying. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. I just saw one comment is lol. So you're right. That's the reason to go through it. Anyway, Red Dead Redemption 2 is out tomorrow. I really would be intrigued to see what you think. So once you've played it, get in touch. Let me know. Is it the best thing since sliced bread? Do you think it's overrated? Are you surprised? Maybe you like it more than you expected. Maybe you didn't like the original Red Dead Redemption. Please do let me know, because this is going to be the talking point probably for some time. But however, I say for some time, there is obviously another game coming out which will... maybe not equal the power that Red Dead has, but certainly has a fan base that will give it a bit of a run for its money, and that is Fallout 76. Like, I'd say the Bethesda audience is very loyal and very loud and vicious to a certain point. Now, Sam, and mate, I think the beta goes live this weekend. You have played it, Sam.
Yes, I've played the Xbox beta because that was Tuesday night. And
right.
Then I think the PC and PS4 is next Tuesday night.
Right, okay. How long have you played it for?
It was a 4-hour window.
All right, so again, for an MMO, not massive, but still a good chunk of time to get an idea for everything.
Tutorial to the mechanics. You couldn't get deep into anything, obviously, in 4 hours.
Yeah, but look, obviously we've talked about Fallout a lot and our opinions of it. I would implore anyone that hasn't heard those episodes to go back and listening, because we don't want to go over too much stuff again. But ultimately, we like Bethesda and we like the Fallout games. Me personally feel like they've got a little bit dry, just because I've played too much of them. But You tell me, man, because I don't want to play Fallout 76 for the same reason I don't want to play Elder Scrolls Online. I don't like MMOs. But it could change the game, right? Sell me on it, or tell me it's a pile of crap, whichever one.
Yeah, I think going in there as a Fallout fan, I was confused as to what to expect, like a lot of people. So I think I'd urge a lot of people, if they can pre-order and try the beta, to try the beta, because I think there's so much here that is traditional Fallout. It's not like it doesn't feel like a Fallout game, you know what I mean? It looks, runs, and plays, like combat-wise, mechanically the same as Fallout 4. So it's pretty much Fallout 4 online. It's not a totally different looking game. They haven't redone the engine or anything. So there's a lot here that feels familiar. So I would urge people, if they do like the Fallout basics, to actually try it. I don't want people to write it off just because it is online. Because even though I don't like Elder Scrolls Online, because it is too many people at once. It's like you have everyone queuing up at desks, everyone just running around like emoting, and it's just chaos. Whereas with here, there's much smaller amounts of players in a huge map. So if you want to, obviously when you leave the vault, because everyone will be there, you have to do all the tutorial things together because they're all in the same place. But after that, you can just sort of leave, and like after my first hour in the tutorial section, even in the beta, I didn't really come across anyone because I didn't have a party. I wasn't playing online with anyone, and I just sort of left them. And if I wanted to be near them, I went near them. If I didn't, I didn't. And it didn't feel like an online game. My biggest criticism, though, would be the storytelling, because as we've said before, there's no NPCs, right? So all of your story is either through reading long text logs.
Oh no, I'm out. That's it. I'm done.
From audio logs. But you know how the audio logs play when you're in game, like where you're actually
yeah.
When there's so many of them, they get drowned out. But obviously, there's other stuff that you're doing, like the lots of combat. And I just felt like, you know, in some RPGs when you're really not in touch, when you really like either don't care or not really gripping the story, and then you just follow the objective marker rather than actually listening to the narrative detail. Like that I found myself doing that, and like I didn't want to. It's just like, oh, here's 2 pages of text. Like, okay, whatever, I'll just skip that and then just go on to, because like, yeah, I was just following the quests rather than actually listening to the story. And I don't like that method of storytelling, really. Part of the appeal for me, like my memories with Fallout in 3 and New Vegas most strongly, is the characters and the stories they told in the side quests and the character they had. But it just, from what I saw in the beta, it really doesn't have that flavour without any other characters. And that's the most disappointing thing for me, not the online aspect, but the fact that there aren't any NPCs to really flesh out the world. So yeah, that's probably my biggest complaint with it.
That surprises me as well, because if anything, Bethesda's really good at doing that stuff. Like, you know, they have, even when you go back to something like Oblivion, where all the NPCs were hilarious these days with the cat face and the same voices.
I still love them.
Exactly, my point exactly. I still like them, and I still remember certain side missions because of how stupid those characters were.
Yeah, that was so good.
Why do you think they've done that? Do you think it's just because they want the world populated by real people? Like
I think they want it to be like a world where everything in it is the players, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So everything that you mark in the world, everything that is made in the world, like the players act as traders, the players act as raiders, the players make up the factions. And that's all well and good, but like in terms of the main quests and everything, it's just... It felt a bit barren, and like this is not going to be a comparison that you're going to like, but it felt a lot like Destiny to me.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be that or Dark Souls. I knew it'd be one of the two.
Yeah, like with Destiny, I was sort of following checkpoints. I felt a lot like that, and I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm playing Destiny in Fallout.
No, I don't at all. Like, But if I want to be a raider, how does that change my perception of the game? And it's to someone that doesn't want to be a raider.
Well, you can't PvP that well, so I'm not really sure. But there are 5 factions. I think one of them is sort of the equivalent, or they might even be called raiders, but they didn't show the faction system that much in the beta. So I think you just ally yourself with the raiders, and then that sort of puts you with other raiders. And then I assume there's other PvP events and stuff. And in terms of the crafting and everything, before I move on, I think the crafting is just exactly what you'd expect. So just a more fleshed out version of you've seen in Fallout 4 and the base building. So that's basically what you'd expect.
I didn't like that in Fallout 4 either. I didn't really like all the base building stuff. I could have done without it. Now, again, from what we were just talking about, this sounds like that was put in to test it for this. Like Fallout 4 was the proving ground. Can we make this work in an online game?
I would say that too. And I think it's more compulsory here than it was in Fallout 4.
Does it play the same? How does VATS work in a game when it's just fighting other people? Is it just slow motion the whole time?
You're not going to like this either. It sounds like a bash of the game, but like just these specific changes that we're talking about aren't amazing. VATS moves in real time, and from what I can tell, from what I can tell, it was obviously too fast because I was trying to not die. So I wasn't trying to aim for body parts. But like on the body, it had like 95% or something, and all you do is press trigger, and it's a guaranteed more accurate shot rather than actually letting you pinpoint. You might be able to pinpoint different body parts, but I was a little too flustered by the fact that it was all moving in real time. So yeah, I didn't use VATS a lot, to be honest, because I think it's just better to aim. You know what I mean?
I don't see the point of it. This sounds like, I understand that you can't, realistically, when you can't have a game slow down for one person, not the other. That doesn't make any sense, and just break the whole thing anyway. But I don't know. Some games, I understand that from a what's the word I'm looking for? A world point of view, Fallout makes perfect sense when it comes to doing this kind of thing. But it just sounds to me like they've. And I don't know, I haven't played it, it's unlikely I will. But it just sounds like to me they've tried to take too much of that game across rather than kind of start from a fresh base and say, okay, well, what can we take across that does work and what should we leave that doesn't work? Yeah, but that's nuts.
I was talking to my friend and I was like, I would honestly rather take VATS out than try to shoehorn it in like this, because it doesn't, it's not satisfying. Because, VATS was probably, I don't know about you, but I used it a lot. Like not just a little bit, just like most of my time in combat, just because it's cool to like have those slow motion shots and guaranteed headshots and stuff like that. But here, I just don't want to use it ever. It's much more. It's better to use like the iron sights or whatever. And yeah, it's just something that didn't need carrying across, just for the namesake,
Yeah. So what kind of missions do you get? Like I know they're not coming from actual people, but is it like an overarching story? It's just a bunch of side missions. Do you have stuff like? The Dark Brotherhood, or Dark Brotherhood, that's Oblivion, you know what I mean? But the equivalent in Fallout, do you have all that kind of stuff people expect?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the game, you get a cutscene just like, we sealed Vault 76 away to come out during Reclamation Day and rebuild America. And the beginning of the game is like, you wake up and like, right, it's Reclamation Day, there you go. And then you just let out in the world. And it's sort of a bit like, oh, right, okay, we're in here. You just pick up loads of stuff from the Vault and then off you go. There is a main quest line as such, so you'll still access quests the same way, and you have to get your volunteer status up, and then you go to some sort of airport to like help people in distress. So you're looking for the overseer basically, and then events lead on from there. So it's all obviously no actual people, or no NPCs, I should say. And then you move from place to place, and there's side quests you can get on along the way from audio logs and from dead bodies and notes and stuff. And then you also have events. So at random points it might pop up like, there's some robots that have gone haywire over here. Why don't you and your mates go there, kill them, and get rewards like Destiny, exactly like Destiny. And yeah, that's basically it. You'll never be short of stuff to do, but it's like whether that stuff is memorable, engaging. Putting into severe doubt, I think, after the beta.
Do you think that they've actually looked at something like Destiny and gone, we should take those elements across?
I can imagine, yeah. I can there's a lot of stuff that reminded me of Destiny, and I can imagine like cosmetics and stuff, and I can imagine there's like hours worth of content in terms of like there's no end point because you never end Destiny, do you? So I assume that's going to be the same here.
Well, I mean, if I wasn't excited before.
Now you're super not excited.
Yeah, well, look, I don't think I would have played it anyway. Again, MMOs aren't for me. The one I always wanted to become an MMO was the Elder Scrolls, and when they did that, I was like, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So it's unlike I ever did. I'm just surprised they've made it. It sounds like a bunch of, I'll go with interesting decisions. But, I mean, you played it for 4 hours. Do you want to play it more when it comes out next month? Has it sold you on it?
Yeah, I've talked a lot negatively about it because I think that's the biggest talking points, Like,
yeah, there's weird things
the positives, the only thing to say positively, and this is a big thing, is that under the hood, minute-to-minute gameplay, combat, exploration, it's all Fallout 4, which is great, which works, it's just like slip it into a comfy pair of trousers, And the world is really beautiful, the world is really engaging, and yeah, there is a lot of positives, and it plays minute to minute like Fallout 4, which is great. And I did actually walk away pleasantly surprised. I'd probably play it more as like a multiplayer game So it's not how I play Fallout usually, in terms of like trying to go in and get all these amazing side quests and memorable main quests and stuff. I'd probably play it more as a social experience, like I did with Destiny, in terms of just having fun and not caring too much about the overarching narrative, which is fine. I'm sure a lot of people would do that. It doesn't have, like, it can still be memorable even if the story's weak. It can still be a good time, and I think that's what it will be for me. So
yeah, that makes sense. I do think the appeal of basically being able to do co-op Fallout is pretty big. Like, exactly. I think people always want to do that in those kind of worlds. A lot of people play those games together and they just pass the control around because they're fun to experience together. So I do understand that being a huge appeal. I don't know. Those games just aren't for me. So I won't even say anything else about it. I've never understood them. I remember when I first heard about MMOs, I thought they were fantastic. And I think it's when I first tried World of Warcraft, right? Which is basically the template that spawned all others. Yeah. And I didn't get it. And I think ever since then, I probably deep down thought it doesn't matter what they did Gears of War MMO. I just wouldn't get it. It's just, I don't know what it is. I guess because I like a game that can be as focused as possible. And obviously the point of an MMO is to do the opposite, is to be as open and just free as possible. So,
and they all have huge amounts of grind, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, when I had to kill, like, was it boars in World of Warcraft?
Yeah, like
20
5
boars.
million. Yeah, you get level 5.
Exactly. I think MMOs, and probably back then as well, kind of serve as a lovely way to meet up with your friends and be social, but through the magic of games.
Yeah.
And if you can take something as familiar and as good as Fallout and make it work for that too, I understand why that ticks an extra box. So
yeah.
Well, there we go. Fallout 76 comes out, was it November 15th, something like that? Or is it earlier than that? I can't remember. Hang on, I got to look. I would usually have that information, but I'm on about 4 different computers at the moment. It comes out 14th of November, so basically 3 weeks' time. It was funny that just after Red Dead hype, I'm sure will be finding its feet. But yeah, if you've played it again, let me know. Battlefield 5 had some information this week, which made me laugh so much. I was like, "What are you doing?" Look, I'm not a game developer, and I'm not here to criticize what they do. I think they all work very hard, and I respect them all. With that said, Battlefield 5 comes out again in November, I think around the same time as Fallout comes out, around that week. And yet...
Yeah, I think it's the week after or something.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of like the last big game of the year. I know something in December. Smash Brothers. Oh, and Just Cause 4. But anyway. Their Battle Royale mode, which I don't know what it's called, Battlefield Battle Royale, has been delayed until March. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that this is just how video games work in 2018. Like, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out this week, but you're not going to play Red Dead Online till next month at some point. Like, the magic of the internet has changed everything. But when you are in direct competition with Call of Duty, and again, as we said last week, I think Blackout is actually pretty decent. It has made me realise that kind of genre is not for me because I'm so terrible at it. You tell me, Sam, this seems like if you're trying to make your mark in that genre, how on earth can you release your Battle Royale mode in March? We talked about it briefly earlier. Fortnite right now has changed once again because it's Halloween time. So they've introduced a load of Halloween mechanics. PUBG, as far as I know, keeps raking money in. Blackout's had a very good response, and I'm sure the user base will grow there. And then Battlefield 5 comes out a week later and goes, yeah, well, ours isn't coming out till March. I don't know. It's crazy.
There's 2 things that stick out for this. Like, you got to think of this perspective. In March, Blackout will have been out for 6 months.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 months until the next Call of Duty, which may or may not have Battle Royale in. And that is brave. Like, a lot of people might have been like, oh no, I'm going to wait for Battlefield's Battle Royale mode. And now they might be like, well, sod it, I'll just go Blackout then, if they want that. Because they might be looking for either 1 or 2 first-person shooters. And it's also very brave for a genre that's only been around for 2 years, really in its massive hype state, to bank on it being as big as it is in 6 months' time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those things can die quick.
Yeah, it's like inviting a girlfriend you got out for 1 month to a wedding in like 9 months. That's
so true.
You have to make those plans. You want to keep your options open, right? And it's just bizarre how they just... I don't know what they're doing. I don't want to be like work hard or anything because we don't know what's going on. But it's bold to wait 6 months for a Battle Royale mode that was going to compete with Call of Duty that's now out and really popular.
I think the other problem for me, it's called Firestorm. I just looked it up. I don't want to come across it. Yeah. So I think the problem is that I think we said this last week as well. I can't remember. Blackout filled a niche. if you were looking for a Battle Royale mode that had that AAA sheen or whatever you want to call it, first person, whatever, Call of Duty has come along and gone, okay, there it is. And there are certain, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I just think you needed to come out guns a-blazing, no pun intended, and try and take, before it becomes old hat, right? At the moment, that kind of mode is still interesting. But by March, it will have become, exactly. Who knows? It's probably going to become the humdrum. People have, the community will have found its legs. And I don't see why in March, what is going to happen if you haven't bought Battlefield 5 that makes you go, well, I'll go get it now. Like you say, because we're into a new year, there's probably going to be a new... When was the last Battlefield? They're yearly Battlefields, right? I'm not making that up.
No, Battlefield 1 was 2016,
Of course, because they released Battlefront, didn't they, in between? Yeah, you're right. That's where I'm getting confused. That mess of a game. Okay, but still, okay, so in that sense, maybe you can make it work. But I just thought it was such a strange decision. And the other problem is as well, Battlefield 5 now basically has a roadmap where you can look about when things are going to come out. And I just, maybe the thing I'm most surprised about, I don't know if this is DICE, I don't know whether this is EA, but given what happened with Battlefront 2, and given that it was all the stuff around it and microtransactions and other elements that weren't the game that were dragging it down, I find it crazy that they may actually be about to do the same thing with their other big franchise, which really right now needs to be competed with Call of Duty as much as it can.
Yeah, not only is it like a month later than Call of Duty, but also it's not got all of its war stories at launch, nor does it have the Battle Royale mode at launch. And it's just, I don't know, like, what are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, clearly something's gone wrong, right? Clearly they haven't been able to get something working, or I don't know. But like you said, Tide of War kicks off around 2 weeks after Battlefield 5, so that's going to be, that's going to be later. I think it does have single player in it. I think maybe that's what Tides of War is. I don't know. I don't really play Battlefield, but I'm pretty sure that's going to how it work. And they got loads of little stuff they're going to be releasing. Between that January to March period as well, it's getting two modes, other modes. Like one's called Rush and one's called Squad Conquest. And maybe on one hand, it's a really good idea. Maybe players are going to feel engaged. Maybe it's going to make you feel like you put that money and you don't want to take it back because good stuff is coming. But I do always think you have to be on some kind of parallel when you are talking about this kind of genre, which while it still does dominate, Call of Duty to me, and it could be because of Red Dead, but it does seem to have a bit of a less buzz this time around because I think so many people are excited about a Rockstar new game. It's why Activision moved the release date. So you're already kind of fighting that battle. And then to sort of create your own issues, I'm going to be intrigued to see what happens with it.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued because it's like I feel like Red Dead's left off the hook for the online mode coming later because it's got so much content in the base thing. It's not like it's unfinished. Whereas Battlefield is getting a lot of content after launch. It feels like less of a DLC edition than actually building it up to like what it should have been at launch. That's what it feels to me at least, because Battle Royale should have really been there at launch ideally, and I'm sure they wanted it. I'm sure they weren't like, yeah, why does DLC? That's fine. I'm sure that's just necessity, not strategy,
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And I'm sure in an ideal world, they would not have allowed this to happen. Well, they wouldn't have wanted this to happen because, why wouldn't you have done? But hey-ho, that's what's happening. So if you're excited about Firestorm, I can't remember what the hell it was called now, I've forgotten. But
it's not quite the same
100% not called Firewatch. You're going to have to wait until March. Maybe it'll work. Maybe in hindsight, we'll look back and go, that was a genius marketing ploy, even if it came out of development problems to begin with. I don't know. On that note as well, just because they announced the Spider-Man DLC as well, they also released a New Game Plus mode for Spider-Man. Yes. So you can go play that if you want to play Spider-Man. Smashed it in September, Spider-Man. Sold so many copies. You're definitely going to get a Spider-Man 2. On that note as well, Activision came out with its numbers for Call of Duty, and it did $500 million in 3 days. So everyone that's saying, oh, it's dead, well, it broke a load of records. So you got it wrong. No offense, but you got it absolutely wrong.
Yeah, the most successful start Call of Duty 4.
Yep.
Which is mad.
I mean, I don't know what people were thinking. People got all up in arms because their physical sales weren't as good. No one mentioned that it came out on a Friday this year rather than a Tuesday. So that changed things. It was just a whole bunch of craziness. But
no one mentions that digital is as big as it ever been.
That's the other thing as well, right? It did fine. It did fine. Yeah. It will continue to do fine, which again is another reason why the Battlefield thing is so interesting because, but they are comparable when it comes to competitors. But as far as I'm aware, Call of Duty makes a lot more money. And that's what Battlefield wants to be. That's the whole reason it exists, in many ways. That was EA's attack on Activision in the first-person shooter market. Anyway, we will see. Right, some games we've been playing this week. Have you been anything else other than Fallout, Sam? You've been playing? You want to talk about?
I've just been playing Ni no Kuni really, because that's hours and hours. So
how far into are you now?
About 35 hours, and I'm in the last act. It's just like it's just a lot of grinding, and I'm just like having to just push through it because I can love it, but I don't like grinding, as we know.
No, I don't. That would make me turn it off. I'm amazed that. I mean, I guess that's a testament to the game as a whole that it keeps you involved. But
and plus, it's like when you got 40 hours in, I don't really want to be like, nope. I'm just like, no, I'm finishing this. I don't care how long it takes.
How much longer do you think you got?
I think probably another 3, 4, something like
I
that.
guess it
shouldn't be too bad.
It's like when you buy a new car, right? It's like, oh, it's going to be an extra $1,000. And you're like, well, what difference does it make? We're already talking thousands and thousands of pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, there's a couple of games I do want to talk about, and they're both under the radar things. You may have me see, I do some videos for VG247, some people may know, and they asked me, they wanted to do like a social experiment, and they just said, look, play this and don't look it up. And I played a game called Boundless. I don't know whether you know about it, Sam. It came out on the PC last year, I think.
Okay.
And it's come to the PS4. I mean, I wanted to kill myself. I'm not going to lie. It just wasn't my type of thing at all. And I get it that some people will like this. I mean, the first thing that I can't believe when you start playing it is it's just Minecraft. Like,
I'm just going to have a look.
Yeah, I mean, the aesthetic, and I understand it, right? I don't want to... I'll be a hypocrite if I say otherwise, because I'm the first to say, look, if somebody hits on gold, other games should try and find a way to copy and paste that across into their franchise, because that's how business works. And you may actually hit on something yourself that ties into that genre. But this is so ridiculous. Like, all you do... There's a bunch of nonsense about traveling through worlds, and you've got some big magical stick or something. But the whole point is you're setting up a settlement, and you've got to fortify it, because if you don't, things are going to attack it and try and break it down. And you do that by going and get leaves and wood and metal and stone, and it's very passive, and you don't really do much other than forage and build. And you can turn enemies attacking you on or off. It's like,
oh no way.
Yeah, it's kind of designed to just be a time sink to people that like that kind of stuff. But I just don't understand it at all. Like, I played it for maybe 5-6 hours, maybe even more actually, maybe at 7. And by the end of it, okay, I built a little fort, and I built a little house, and I collected a load of materials and items, but I had got nothing out of it. Like, I had no satisfaction from playing this through whatsoever. And look, I get it. I'm sure there's people listening that love those type of games. It's just, they're just not for me. But it had no redeeming factors. And for some reason, you were some weird blue alien. I never understood why you were an alien. That was never explained to me whatsoever. But, yeah, I mean... I don't know. It's just one of those games that I'm amazed. And look, all fair play to the developers who have clearly, struck on some kind of gold. It was on PC, now it's made its way to home console. That's a success. There's no two ways about it. But again, it's just one of those. I think it's just the amazing thing of entertainment. I played the whole thing, and I still don't really understand what the point was. I didn't even look up a review afterwards, which I usually do when I play a game. It's basically sandbox building in a Minecraft-esque world.
Yeah, I've looked up screenshots of it, and it looks a lot like that. It looks a lot like all of the other ones that, like Trove, that sort of tried to be Minecraft, but with a bit more polish. Yes. I think just sort of overcomplicating it, overshining the blocky formula just a little bit.
Well, I also think as well, when it comes to Minecraft, it was lightning in a bottle. And again, yeah. I know I just said about trying to, hit upon these big things that just explode from nowhere and make them work. Some things don't need to have that treatment. I think Minecraft is that thing. Like, it's still raking in loads of money. It's been around for years now. It's part and parcel of the video game landscape that we're used to. I don't really see a market or anyone clamoring, I'd like this, but change it a little bit. Especially because mostly the Minecraft audience is kids, right? The kids play it.
Yeah.
And kids are happy with Minecraft.
Really lose a term for Minecraft, but it seems like quintessential.
Like, you're right. No, you're right, yeah.
Like, if people want a sandbox like that has it. That's everything. It's not too much, but it's enough for you to go in, be accessible, easy to learn, hard to master. You don't need anything else. There'll never be a Minecraft 2. That's it. That's all you need. And then to compete with that, like you say, is weird. A baffling decision, really.
No, it is. Especially, I mean, we were talking about Battle Royale games, right? That's why Call of Duty was so interesting. And even Fortnite was so interesting because it took it and it changed it a little bit. This doesn't do that. This, if anything, feels less... I mean, Minecraft always felt quite quaint to me and quite like lovable and novel. It wasn't really my thing. But I was like, okay, this doesn't do that at all. It just feels like they've taken away some of the fun. And I guess it's supposed to be like a Minecraft that appeals more to adults. But adults like Minecraft. So, like, I don't get it. Very strange. But I suffered my way through that, and you can actually see that live if you go to VG247's YouTube channel. The other thing I wanted to play was, again, I don't know why I'm getting into mobile games so much, but I went on the Apple Store. I was like, I want to see what I'm going to be able to find. And I found this game called Flip Trickster. Now, it's the most basic... It's like a mobile game you'd expect to play 10 years ago, you know, when mobile games were sort of... They were a thing. And you basically play like a gymnast, or we'll just go gymnast. And all you do is there's one area on the screen that you can touch, and that will start your jump. It will sort of put you into a flipping state, and then you hold it down to try and do as many flips as you can, and you try and land it in a tiny target that's sort of, you start off doing it in a gymnasium, and then by the end you're jumping off cliffs and you're trying to work out how long do I have to hold here and how many flips can I get away with. Obviously the score targets get more and more. And it's completely designed to, make you pay money. I mean, I haven't paid anything for, to be fair, it's absolutely free, but, it's very, very advertising heavy. Like, you can't do anything without it, all of a sudden... asking you for, or showing you an advert. So, the idea is it wants you to spend. That's the whole point. But I tell you this, it's one of those things where it's not the greatest game in the world, but if I have 5 minutes, if I'm waiting for a phone call, if I'm on a train, my word, if it isn't addictive. Like, it's, considering how basic it is and how simple it is, and I'm not saying the development processes, I'm sure even something like this takes forever to make, but again, in terms of the premise, and even, like I say, even with the slightly aggressive advertising, like I've got other games that I play for free that aren't as aggressive as this. It won me over. Like, it really, really did. I think it's one of those things where the mechanics are so simple, but they're so well implemented that it's very addictive, to be completely honest. And I thought, you know what? I've got a gaming podcast. I'm playing some shit mobile game. I'm going to talk about it for a while. And again, it's absolutely free. If you don't like adverts, do not play it, because they will harass you pretty much every few minutes. And you've got to wait for them to finish, and then you can do the whole X thing. But yeah. I honestly, like, the older I get and the less time I have to play games and the more traveling I'm doing, weird shit like this seems to have a weird hold on me. Like, I don't know what it is. It's very odd.
I'm looking it up now, and I think they're overselling a little bit with the official description. Feel the adrenaline as you're flipping in the air after jumping down some crazy heights. Do insane jumps and flips. It's just like,
no.
Okay, I don't think it's that insane.
No, you literally you put your finger on a screen, you let the finger off the screen, and then when you feel like you've got enough momentum, you put it back on to start doing flips and try and land it. That is it. Like, it's not a game that you're ever going to play more than... Yeah, insane, is it? That's ridiculous. You will never play this game for more than 5 minutes at a time, but somehow it will always have you coming back in. But again, the worst thing is, obviously, some of the stages are, okay, now you've got to do all the jumps that you've done in this stage, you've got to do all in one back to back. And obviously you're going to screw those up every now and then. This is just trying to sum up how aggressive it is. And you'll go to hit the restart level button, and you get an advert. And then you'll get an advert as you're doing a jump. Then you want to restart again, and you get an advert. Like, I can understand why it would piss people off, absolutely. Like, again, it's very, very, very aggressive with that stuff. But look, it is free, and I've been playing it now for probably 5 hours or so. And, have I spent any money on it? Nope. So, it's hard to get too critical about it in that sense. It can't be abusing my brain too much if I'm happy to sit here and every time I've got, like I say, 5 minutes, I think, I'm just going to play that game quickly.
See, my go-to game for mobile is always Tetris.
How is that on using your finger and stuff? That's the first thing I thought. Like, is that not frustrating?
Well, it's like you tap on the screen to rotate it. You drag it down to like put it out further, and then you obviously drag left and right to go left and right. So yeah, it's really, really easy. It's like perfect for like the tube or something. Like, if you only need like 10 minutes to get from one stop to the other, just one run of Tetris, like, bosh. It's great.
Can you play it as fast as you could on like a NES or a Game Boy or something?
Yeah, because you could like slam it down like just by dragging down, so you can be like bam, 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 and then when you got like the shadows on the floor as to where it will land, and then so Tetris is just timeless, really.
Did you see that we have a new Tetris world champion?
I saw that. Yeah.
I think he's 16 years old.
Yeah.
Like something crazy. And I would absolutely implore anyone to just go search Tetris World Championships, because I don't know why I watched the whole damn thing, but I did. But, while I think it's just that, because we've all been playing it since we were kids, and because in many ways it is the perfect video game, like technically nothing is better than Tetris, seeing somebody able to play it that proficiently and that quickly, and then find out he's only 16 years of old, so you think, well, where the hell did you even... I mean, you can't be playing it that long. You've just got to be naturally good at this. There is something oddly therapeutic and enjoyable about watching competitive Tetris.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. I never thought competitive Tetris would be a thing, but, like, it's a big thing.
It is, and he beat someone that I think had been the champion for the last 6 years or something, or he won it 6 years in a row. Like, I mean, this is real stuff. This is like a big deal if you're into the Tetris World Championship. Tetris beef, exactly. But honestly, I watched the whole damn thing, and the guy was so happy to win as well, which I always enjoy that. It's always nice to see someone who's genuinely made up. But yeah, there's something about it. There's something intriguing about the Tetris World Championship. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, it even made the BBC website. So if you're living over here in the UK, or even in America as well, but if you're familiar with the BBC, you can go do it now. That's the kind of traction that Zelda gets. It even makes the BBC website.
Yeah.
And there we go. So there's that too. Well, I think that's everything that's happened this week in games. I mean, like I say, this was always going to be the problem with this week. Red Dead has come along and absolutely smashed it out. And of course, I can't play it till tomorrow anyway, because that's when my copy's going to turn up. So it's always going to be next week where we can talk about it more often than not. But again, you go to any news site in the world, right, or gaming news site in the world right now. Actually, the BBC had an article about that. Can it live up to the hype? So you can even go and get the BBC's take on it. And I bet if you listen to Radio 1 today, they've absolutely talked about Red Dead Redemption.
Before we end, though, I forgot to mention something about
I'm excited. I'm
very
excited.
important.
No, do it. Make me hate it even more.
The frame rate is shocking.
Oh, wait,
and it's
how
only
bad?
weeks away from release, and it is poor. Like, at some points, just stopped for a few seconds.
But
and loading times are horrible, and the frame rate just dipped entirely at times. It was really noticeably bad. And a few weeks out, like, it's really going to need to do a lot. Because, I mean, the Xbox One isn't the ideal platform, but it still should be running fine, you know what I mean?
Of course. How bad is it compared to... Because, like, all Bethesda games have... the frame rate isn't solid, is it? Like, it always stutters a little bit. How does it compare to something like that?
It's as bad as it can be, really. It's not... well, at times it's unplayable when it's really bad. But, like... what I was just about to say, it runs sometimes, and that's not what you want.
Brilliant. Do you think it's so bad that even if someone loves that game, it could put them off because they just get so frustrated with it?
I think so, because obviously being online and being as fast paced as it will be, because you can't stop, obviously, or pause. It's really going to affect people's enjoyment. But obviously, it is a beta. It's just like I think they're really going to have to sort that out. Obviously, I'm sure they'll get feedback and stuff.
Do you know if it's the same on the PlayStation?
I do not.
Okay. Well, that'd be interesting. Right, okay, so if anyone did play it on the PlayStation, you got to get in touch and let us know. I want to know now, because that could be a story, or whether it will be a story. If it's as bad as that, it will definitely 100% come a story. I imagine people are being quite kind about it now. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think at a beta test, you can't be too hard, but it's something to bear in mind. Like, I hope it's not like that on full release.
That would ruin it, man. That would be it. Especially for me. I ain't playing that shit if it's got bad... I'm out. I'm going to run away. Oh, dear. Okay, well, there you go. Watch out for Fallout. Go crazy for Red Dead. Don't play Boundless. Whatever that flip game I mentioned, I can't remember what it was called, Flip Trickster. Go play that. It's free. You hate it, don't worry about it. And Battlefield 5 may have fucked it before it even got released. That's the week in gaming. Nothing else is coming out for a few weeks. But look, next week we'll talk about Red Dead Redemption more in depth. We'll start building up to Fallout. And what else did I... Oh, Battlefield 5. We'll talk about that too. And I'll be intrigued to see what happens to Call of Duty now. Obviously, Call of Duty's only been out a week. And now here comes Red Dead to stomp on its party. So, I mean, it's already made all its money. But, Call of Duty always has a buzz if you go to the right places. So, we'll see. We will see. Well, there we go. That was the Week in Gaming. Thank you very much for joining me. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Simon316. You can find Sam at Sam Bishop with 3 P's and a 1.
Yeah.
I got it right. Sweet. I always get it wrong. I was like, is it 2 Ps and a 1, 3 Ps and a 1? I can't remember. But he's up there. So if you want more information about Fallout 76, if you didn't get around to playing the beta, he can absolutely give you that. Again, I do a wrestling podcast too. Drops Wednesdays and Fridays. So these two are going to clash this week. But just go have a day listening to me talk about video games and wrestling if you want. What else do I do? Oh, all of it's supported by patreon.com/Simon Miller 316. Even if you throw $1 in there, I can't. You don't know how much it's helping me, especially at the moment because I've got my stupid bad shoulder, which I'm not going to talk about, and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Miller Report Rules, where I've started doing a lot of vlogging. I mean, I don't know why I think I'm an 18-year-old child, but clearly I do. But people are loving it, and it's doing well, so I'm going to keep doing it. I'm not going to stop. I think that's it. Sam, you got anything else you want to throw out there?
Nah. Just live people's lives and be positive, I guess.
There we go.
Message.
There we go. Look at that. That's why Sam comes on, because he's a kindred spirit. And also, I do want to say, I mean, 100%, be it in the comments on YouTube or come tweet Sam and I or, wherever you can interact with this, please do let me know what you think of Red Dead Redemption. Hopefully, Sam and I can get back together on Monday. Either way, we'll do another episode next week. But it would be great, given the time of this dropping and given when that game comes out, to get other people's opinions, to get other people's feedback. So if you are listening right now, drop me a tweet, drop Sam a tweet, leave a message in the comments box below. And yeah, it'd be great when we do talk about next week after I played it for a few days. And, Sam can act as almost like an intermediary for all of that. We can see what people are thinking, because it's always going to be amazing for the first 5 hours. All Rockstar games are. And I think it will be afterwards too. But it's always interesting to see the fans' perspective as well, as opposed from the media one. So that's that. We're done. Sam, thank you as always.
My pleasure.
And again, sorry, listeners, for this being late. My fault. I'm an idiot. I'm an asshole. But either way, we'll talk to you again in a few days' time.